Well, let's delve then a little deeper into Donald Trump's first year back in office, joined here on set now by Oliver Farry from our International Affairs Desk. Oliver, Donald Trump promised no new wars before he was re-elected to the White House. Now, though, he's saying he no longer feels an obligation to think purely of peace. Alienating long-standing allies, tariffs, threats of annexation. What do you think... where are we, I suppose, really, 1 year into Donald Trump's second term?
Well, we're seeing quite a different world, and not least because Donald Trump has really upended the post-war international order, Trump alienating his allies, as you said, with punitive tariffs, his apparent sympathies for Russia in the war on Ukraine, and now his escalating threats to annex Greenland. And Trump's national security strategy, which was rolled out in November last, explicitly said that the United States' days of propping up the international order were over, and the harshest criticisms were reserved for Europe, which it said was in danger of civilizational erasure, while noting that the rise of far-right parties were cause for optimism. Now, the relationship between Europe and Washington is changed forever, regardless of who succeeds Donald Trump, if indeed anybody succeeds Donald Trump at all. People are saying that he might try and keep office indefinitely. Now, Donald Trump, as you said, promised no new wars, but he's now explicitly saying he thinks not only of peace. Of course, he hasn't been particularly peaceful in the last 12 months. He's bombed a number of countries in his first year in office: Syria, Iraq, Iran, Yemen, Somalia, Nigeria, Venezuela, and he's threatened others: Mexico, Colombia, Cuba, and most notably Greenland. Now, this is not out of the ordinary for US presidents, but it's a little bit different for somebody to be, to have actually said that he's going to withdraw from future wars and then to actually do the very opposite. Europe is still dallying over how to respond. They've been very timid in their criticism thus far. Even if you look at the abduction of Nicolas Maduro, there wasn't an awful lot of criticism coming from Europe for that. That's because they want to keep Trump on side for support of Ukraine. But this is beginning to turn a little bit, even though we see today that the Europeans are still trying to be a little bit conciliatory. But Donald Trump sees diplomacy as weakness. He even said it in that report we saw just there. He has posted this private text message that Emmanuel Macron sent him. He posted it on his Truth Social page, and also an AI-generated image of EU leaders sitting in the Oval Office as Trump shows them a map with Canada and Greenland as US territories.
That's internationally. What about domestically?
Well, in his second term, Trump has taken the gloves off. He's gutted public spending with the help of Elon Musk. He's intimidated critics in media, academia, and business. And he's effectively declared war on Democratic-run cities, deploying the National Guard on usually spurious grounds of security in a number of them: Los Angeles, Portland, Oregon, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. And his deployment of ICE, which has carried out raids on migrants with little regard for the law or judicial oversight, has angered even Americans concerned about immigration. Now, Trump is not acting alone here. He's basically carrying out a wish list of a broad coalition of Republican and conservative interests. Everyone gets something that they wanted, particularly the Heritage Foundation, the right-wing think tank's Project 2025, who more or less pleaded for the filleting of the federal government, which we're now seeing take place.
At the moment, there's little opposition really from Congress, isn't there? I mean, Republicans rather seem to be doing his bidding. Democrats, little appetite at the moment for impeachment. Midterms, though, that's the crucial thing. It's coming up very, very closely.
Yeah. I mean, senior Democrats have been severely criticised by those on the left for their perceived ineffectiveness. And there's a sense that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries are still doing politics the old way, as if they're dealing with a classic Republican president. Donald Trump is clearly not that. Now, they're understandably wary of launching impeachment proceedings that won't succeed, but the messaging alone could be more forceful. The Democrats are probably being a little bit one note in their messaging on affordability. They want to make the midterm elections all about affordability. But there's a lot more than that at stake. There's actually civil liberties, as we can see in Minnesota at the moment, and also foreign policy, which will in the long run be very, very detrimental to US interests. Trump is underwater pretty much in all of the polls. He's got a net unpopularity rating which varies between 12 and 22%. He still, however, has his core support, which is about 38 to 40%. So the November 2025 elections featured a number of very, very strong successes for the Democrats. That shows that they might be a bellwether of sorts. But we still have to look at who will potential candidates be, particularly for 2028, when somebody will actually be hopefully, succeeding Trump. But in November 2025, we really don't see an awful lot of people emerging as possible leaders. The Democrats are really a headless chicken at the moment, so to speak. But, it's theirs to lose.
10 months to go. Oliver, thanks very much. Oliver Farry from our International Affairs Desk there.